Well, at 12 years old, you started hanging out at the Diplomat Lounge,
Yeah.
which was a Colombo hangout spot.
Exactly.
And you started, I guess, cleaning up and so forth, and that kind of got you in the door with that family.
Yeah. Well, my cousin Matt, what happened was I was getting into trouble in school. And I was getting into a lot of trouble. So my father, my Uncle Sal, my Uncle Frank, and they got my cousin Mac, they all got together, said, what are we going to do with him? Because there was other guys, I was hanging out with a bunch of other guys that were in a different family, but they were older than me. But they liked me because, if the fight came down, I was 12, 13 years old, I was right in the middle of it. I didn't care. So they put me with my cousin Mac to groom me and watch me. Maya Lansky gave the okay also. Uncle Lucky had already passed away. And I was going down there, and Tom DeBella is my father's godfather. Okay? That's the guy who Michael said made him, was Tom DeBella. He's my father's godfather. When they heard that I was Frankie's son, they said, don't even worry about it. Leave the kid alone. They used to talk in front of me. As soon as I was told, they said, because when they brought me down there, they says, who's this guy? Joe Colombo didn't really know me. He says, who's this? He goes, that's Frankie's son. He goes, who Frankie? He says, Quiet Frank. Don't worry about it. They used to talk in front of me. When Tom DeBella seen me there, he went crazy when he seen me there. Forget about it. They used to talk in front of me all the time. I was a kid. They talked in front of me all the time because I was Frankie's son.
Okay, so then at 14, Joe Colombo gave you some sports tickets to deliver.
That's right.
And that's sort of the start of your mob business?
Yeah, so to speak, yeah.
Okay. And then by 16, Joe Colombo actually gave you your own spot in Bay Ridge.
That's right, in the Cadabra Club. I would go to the club, and they would bring me all the money and the receipts for the numbers, the horses, the sports, the Shylock money. I would get all that. They would bring it to me. I would have all the money together, and then I would bring it downtown. After I'd get in the car and drive downtown and bring it downtown to Scappy's Club.
Okay, so at 16, you're making thousands of dollars a day.
Oh, I'm making a lot of money. Yeah.
Okay, but with the money in that life comes violence usually.
Oh, it depends on the situation. It depends on what you're doing.
Well, there was a situation where there was a shooting that happened with Salley Burns.
That was a cousin. It was a third cousin. There was Salley Burns, Frankie Burns, and Jimmy Burns. There were two of them were brothers. The other one was their cousin. Then they had kids, and they had kids. This was their third cousin, it was called. I got the scar still right here from where he cracked me with the gun. I still got the scar right here. I'll never forget it. He left me with that permanently, but I left him with something too. No head.
Okay, so a shooting happened.
You could put it that way.
Okay. And he ended up getting killed?
Considering he had no head left, I shot him in the head 13 times. Yeah, he had no head.
Okay. So the situation escalated, hit you with a gun, you pulled out, and you killed him.
No. He came into the Cadabra Club, and he was asking who's taking the action here. So I said, I am. Didn't think nothing of it. Pulled out a gun, he pistol whipped me. He put me in the hospital. I drove from 3rd Avenue between 85th and 86th Street in Bay Ridge. I drove all the way downtown to Carroll Street in a car that my cousin Mac had given me. It was a big-ass Electra, 225 Limited. I crashed into the wall of the Diplomat. Everybody came out. They thought I was shot because I was bleeding all over the place. And they took me up to Methodist Hospital where we had the doctors. And they kept me there for about 5-6 days, something like that. I was up there. And then I told them what happened. And then I was home. I was home for a couple of days after that. And then Mac brought me down to the Diplomat. And then we went down to Monty's restaurant and said, Joe Colombo wants to talk to you. And Joe told me, he says he was going to have it taken care of. It's okay, I didn't think nothing about it. And then what happened, Jerry Lang, my cousin Mac, and everybody called me over and said, sit down, I want to talk to you. They told me, if Joe Colombo takes care of this for you, you belong to him. Meaning that whatever he says you got to do, and if he don't want you made, you never get made. If you take care of it, that means you belong over here with us. It's a difference. There's a big difference. Being Joe Colombo's guy, if Joe Colombo owned you in plain English, that means you're his bitch. Let's put it that way, as they would say on the street. But you take care of it, you belong here with us. When it comes your time, you will get straightened out. So I said, all right. So he says, I got to take care. He says, that would be the best way. So I agreed to take care of it. And there was a friend of mine, Sally D, his family, and Joey D. And they had the uncles had a big bar on Union Street and 3rd Avenue called the Union Street Bar. You went in, there was the bar. Then you had the basement, and then you had a sub-basement. These guys were gun runners. I mean, they had a lot of businesses, but their biggest thing was guns. So Joey D, I go and see him. We were the same age. And he says, what's doing? When I told him, he goes, I heard about what happened. I said, yeah. I said, listen, Joe, I want to get a gun. I'm going to go see this guy, but I want it just to scare him. My honest opinion was I thought I was going to scare him. When they took me downstairs, he says, pick out, and they gave me a 380 Beretta. And I started firing the gun down there, and I was hitting bullseyes left and right. I never fired a gun. I just had a flair for it, I guess you would say. I took after my father. So I got the gun, I got it in the bag, and the Uncle Sal gives it to me. He said, it's a gift, Anthony, and they gave me a box of bullets. So I'm walking from Union Street to Cal Street with a brown paper bag with this gun in it and a box of bullets. So my cousin Mac is outside. He goes, you ready to go home? I said, yeah. We get in the car. He goes, what do you got in the bag? So I open up the bag. I pull out a gun. He cracks me in. What are you, fucking nuts? He says, you ain't got no permit for this. So I drive. He goes, what's that for? So I'm going to go see this Salley Burns because he's in the club now creating all this havoc. And I'm going to, scare him. My cousin looked at me and he laughed. He said, you're going to scare him? I said, yeah, it's okay. Friday night comes. I'm down at Monty's and I seen everybody. And I says, I'm going. I got in the car. I go there. And when I walked in, I remember Dookie was outside, the bartender. He says, you got to get out of here. This guy's going to kill you. He's creating havoc. He's ripping off everybody, on and on. I said, don't worry, Duke. I said, I'm going to settle. I'm going to talk to him. Now, when you walked into Cadabra Club, here was the door. When you walked in, the bar was on the left side. And on the right side, you had, a lot of space. You had the wall with a ledge. Then it made an L to the back where the bar is. When I turned the bar, I seen Sally was sitting down with his back to me. But he was talking to this girl, Karen Scusa, who was from my neighborhood. She was playing house with him, So when the music went down, I heard her say, Anthony's behind you. As soon as I heard that, I opened up my coat and I took the gun out of in my hand. For whatever the reason, I took it out. This guy jumps up, opens up his jacket. I told you I'm going to kill you. Your mother's going to have a closed coffin, blah, 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 all the shit. When he went to put his hand on the gun, I just picked my hand up and I just started pulling the trigger. And I killed him. Walked out of the place, got back in the car, went down to 3rd Avenue. I went to the Diplomat and I says, Joe, where's everybody? There was the bartender, Joe Blub. He says, they're in Monty's. I go down there, walk in, everybody's looking at me. Oh, I thought you were going out the back. I says, yeah. They says, what happened? I went there. He says, well, and Jerry Lang says, well, what happened? Just tell me. I said, I went in, I told him what happened. He says, what'd you do? I said, I pulled out the gun and I shot him. So they all looked at me. They said, you shot? I said, yeah, I shot him. They says, well, what happened to him? Is he dead? I says, I think so. So they got little Vincent. Joe Colombo told little Vincent, go out there and see what's going on. Vincent came back in an hour. He says, and so Joe Colombo told me, is the guy dead? He says, dead? He goes, the guy got no head. He goes, his head's completely gone. He says, he blew his head completely off because I had hollow point bullets. They all looked at me and I'm sitting there. Whether or not did I really realize what I'd done? Yeah, I guess I did, but it didn't faze me one way or the other. After that, it was a totally different deal when I was down there after that.
Well, you were 17 years old
16.
when that happened?
16.
16. Okay. How did it feel to kill someone at 16 years old?
Honestly, it didn't faze me one way or the other. I got to be honest with you. The only thing I remembered this guy saying he was going to kill me. My mother was going to have a closed coffin, and I seen the gun, and he was going to pull the gun out of his waistband. And that was it.